आ गए हाउस में आज आप जी।
Thank you, Chairman Sahab. Can I begin? Thank you. Chairman Sahab, 4 days ago, the United Nations voted on a resolution demanding immediate ceasefire in Gaza. 120 countries voted in favor of the resolution. 14 voted against, and 45 countries abstained. To those who abstained, I remind them of Desmond Tutu, who said, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. I suggest वो neutrality का लिबादा उतारें और खुलकर opposition करें। मगर हकीकत तो ये है कि ये सब मुमालिक, the opposers and the abstainers, आज सब के सब अपने अपने मुल्क में mass campaigns देख रहे हैं in favor of the Palestinians. और क्यों ना देखें? If the systematic annihilation of the Palestinians in Gaza fails to move you, then you have no humanity left in you. Since the 7th of October, Mr. Chairman, Zionist Israeli forces have killed over 8,000 Palestinians. Not 8,000 militants, not 8,000 Hamas operatives, 8,000 civilians. And over 3,000 of these, Mr. Chairman, were children. The average age of those murdered by Israel in the past 2 weeks is 14, Mr. Chairman, 14. Children are now writing their names on their arms so that when they are killed, their parents are able to recognize them. Parents are collecting the limbs of their children and carrying them in plastic bags. Their children whom they birthed, whom they raised with love, now in plastic bags, Mr. Chairman. Gaza's Ministry of Education has officially ended the school year because all the students have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. Let that sink in. Israel has left nothing unscorched. The air in Gaza is filled with the stench of death, of burning flesh from the white phosphorus which Israel has used to wipe out entire families. 4 generations gone. They have bombed hospitals, schools, shelters, churches, mosques, homes. They have told Gazans to evacuate and then bombed the fleeing convoys. They have cut off Gaza's communication, electricity, water. This is a well-thought-out, well-planned ethnic cleansing. This, Mr. Chairman, is genocide. And if today we do not speak against this genocide, tomorrow we will not have any right to ask anyone to speak for us. Israel would have us believe that they knew nothing of the Hamas attack, which supposedly triggered this fresh Israeli mass murder spree. They would have us believe that Mossad, the most well-funded and advanced intelligence agency that they take great pride in, was absolutely clueless. And then suddenly, the same agency became so astute that they identified just how many Hamas operatives were hiding in which hospital, carrying how many weapons, with the lack of any supposed on-ground military operation. And then they bombed. And conveniently after each bombing, Mr. Chairman, which killed scores of innocent Palestinians, the Israelis went on the very sympathetic mainstream media and waved perfectly preserved, perfectly marked evil bombing plans that the Hamas operatives just happened to have in their pockets. मतलब हद हो गई। पहले आपको ये नहीं पता चला कि हमास आप पर 500 रॉकेट चला रहा है, फिर 2 दिन में आपको ये भी पता चल गया कि वो कितने हैं और कहाँ छुपे हैं। और इतने कोई ऑब्लाइजिंग अटैकर्स थे कि उन्होंने अपने सारे प्लान एक पर्चे पे लिखे, उस पर्चे को प्लास्टिक कोट कराया और वो अपनी जेब में रखा कि वो आपको मिले और फिर आप वो मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया पर दिखाएं कि ये देखो प्लान थे। This is what Israel wants us to believe. While the reality, Mr. Chairman, is that this was all orchestrated to perpetuate genocide. Mr. Chairman, Netanyahu is a genocidal maniac, a warmonger who has complete support of all major news outlets. CNN की सारा सिग्नर वसूख से बोलती है कि हमास ने इजरायली बच्चे मारे और फोटोज हैं। बाद में बोलती है सॉरी, I was misinformed. इजरायली होस्टेज रिलीज होकर बोलती है we were taken care of, but Israel abandoned us. Headline kya chalti hai? I was scared for my life. The media has left no stone unturned in its support for this genocide. It is actively engaged in perception management against the Palestinians and in favor of Israel's genocidal assault. And all this, Chairman, while Netanyahu targets and kills on-ground journalists who try to report the atrocities they were witnessing. Media, in its fervor to support genocide, has abandoned its own fraternity. Chairman Sahab, मजहब के जो व्यापारी हैं वो सबसे बड़ी बीमारी है. Netanyahu and his Zionist state are trying to paint this as a religious war. It is not. We cannot allow this divisive rhetoric to prevail. We must not allow this unilateral ongoing terrorist attack to be misrepresented as a war between religions. This is not Muslim versus Jews. This is very clearly sanctioned and funded Zionist terrorism. Millions across the world belonging to all faiths are standing and marching in solidarity with Palestine today. Not in our name is what Jews across the world are chanting as they demand an end to this genocide. Descendants of Holocaust survivors are taking out advertisements in leading newspapers, detailing the atrocities and demanding a ceasefire. So to the governments of states still supporting Netanyahu's purge, I say, read the room. Your people are marching against your support to terrorism. Chairman Sahab, as a nation that has lived with the atrocities of terrorist groups, which have threatened not only our own country but the world, we must raise our voice louder than ever. Tomorrow, this pseudo-terrorist military tactic of decimating entire cities and an entire people over the actions of a few may very well be used against us, may be used against those states currently abstaining or voting against the UN resolution. Chairman Sahab, we must recognize what is happening in Palestine as a blueprint for how any and all dissent can be annihilated in future without repercussions, without condemnation. But let us not forget that those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. If nations today are not going to take a stand against the ongoing atrocities for the beleaguered Palestinians, I urge them to take a stand for themselves. Lest this, Mr. Chairman, sets a precedent for which all of us will eventually pay. Thank you.